Wait, go.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Six Figure Developer Channel. I'm John Calloway. That is Clayton Hunt and John Ash. Tonight we are going to continue on live coding the Blazor game project. Blazor game is a port of Mono game, mostly. Clayton is one of Clayton's personal projects and deviating a little bit just for, I don't know, simplicity, just for problems encountered. Clayton, you want to give us a quick overview and tell us where we are, where we left off?
Yeah, so the differences that John just alluded to from monogame are basically adding async await for asynchronous processes that Blazor uses to communicate with the browser. Honestly, they wouldn't be an issue to add those in the actual monogame because you can always async a not async process and it doesn't really hurt much. But at the end of the last time we worked on this, we had gotten the ball to bounce off of the paddle and to collide with a brick. But when it hit a brick, the brick disappeared, but the ball didn't change directions or anything. So in preparation for the stream, I fired up the application and nothing rendered at all. So I started troubleshooting it to figure out, what was wrong. And I started to make code fixes, and then I was like, we should probably start the stream. So what I have done is I have changed the begin method on the sprite batch, which is just the sprite batch begin and end just wrap the draw calls for the application. And they weren't doing anything at all. But last time that we worked on this, I thought, I will try to improve performance by adding a back buffer. So I added the back buffer, and there was no perceived performance improvement, but the game still ran, so I was like, whatever, I'll go mess with it later. Apparently, the code that I was running on the JavaScript side for the back buffer didn't actually get loaded, so we never saw that code run. And then today, when I fired it up, the browser cache got refreshed, the code loaded, and, nothing happened at all. So I am making begin and end both asynchronous async await methods so that this JavaScript calls can be made. And then I'm just going to make sure that they actually get called. So I've added the awaits here. This is the main code file for the game. And I'm just going to add these console write line methods because, unfortunately, that is one of the easiest ways to debug Blazor at certain points in its life cycle. You can't set debug points at certain times, like you can't do a breakpoint. And so the console write line is a good way to just let you know that you've gotten somewhere. So, sprite batch started.
So this issue with running off of cache code is something that's bit us a couple times as we've tried to work on this project. Certainly seems like something that we should take note of, and it's difficult to tell, especially because a lot of times things have continued to work until they didn't, right? And then is there have any thoughts of like how we could prevent?
Well, I mean, I'm already taking the normal steps that I take to prevent that issue, where I on the developer tools for the browser, I have cache disabled, so it should never cache. It should just work. I honestly don't know why it didn't wipe out the cache and reload the thing.
So maybe it's just something we have to keep an eye out for, and if we see something weird, we should check to see if for some reason we're still getting a old version or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so begin appears to be getting called, at least from that perspective. So I'm going to throw it in here again and run it and make sure that it's coming into this method, and then it's going to execute that. And then I'm going to check that clear back buffer is being called by touching up the JavaScript. Okay, so that's getting hit. Okay. So I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do sprite batch ended. And then if I go to the JavaScript, here we got clear back buffer, which was what was being called a second ago. And if I say clearing back buffer, and I save, and then I run. In my debugging a minute ago, I believe this part was working, but you can see this console log render back buffer is not showing in the console. So that's the part that I'm trying to get to show up. In the past, when we've had these things where stuff just randomly doesn't get called, yeah, so clearing back buffer. Now that is this one. But then you saw that I also added sprite batch ended, and then we already had rendering back buffer. And neither one of these are being called. So what I think is happening is I think that we are getting an asynchronous crash on one of these three calls. So I'm going to troubleshoot that by... Come on now. By adding a player has been drawn. Ball has been drawn. And brick has been drawn.
And just for people that aren't familiar with like asynchronous, we can do this because we're using the await command, so it's going to wait to call the next one before so each line is going to be called synchronously.
Yeah. Basically, it's going to draw the player, wait for that to finish, then it's going to draw the ball, wait for that to finish, then it's going to draw the brick, wait for that to finish, then it's going to end the sprite batch, wait for that to finish, and then it's going to do whatever's in the base draw method and wait for that to finish.
And if we weren't calling a wait there, we would want the console log to exist inside of the draw command, so that we saw that log at that time.
Yeah, see, now it doesn't look like it's doing any of these. So that
Would
makes
there be
me... Yeah, go ahead.
Would there be an opportunity just to revert that feature or this file? I don't remember the depth of the changes for the rest of it.
I don't either. Technically, all I should have to do is go through here where it's got back buffer. Like so, basically remove these. And then instead of back buffer, I would be context. So anywhere that back buffer shows up, I would use context. And then that should fix it up, which should just be in this clear, and then draw image and draw sprite. Draw texture and draw sprite. Those are the only places that it should be using it. And I can try that, but I just don't know.
So also, would you walk through your logic for adding the back buffer and why that is an important because I don't know that that's obvious to everyone.
Yeah, so back buffers serve a couple purposes. In like old school C++ game programming where you were actually writing into the video memory, what would happen is you would start doing something. You'd like draw a sprite, and that sprite would show up, and then there'd be a frame where you would see sprite A, but you wouldn't see sprite B because you hadn't effectively drawn that sprite yet. Or there'd be a frame where you had cleared the screen and you had not yet redrawn everything. And so what you would get was you would get flicker. That seems to be less of an issue in the web programming, because the web programming launches a method, and it doesn't do another frame until you have told it that you're finished with the frame that you're working on. However, the second benefit is that it is easier to draw. So theoretically, when you draw something to the canvas, it draws it right then, and then you get back, and then you can draw the next thing. So you could still end up in that situation, or at least it's memory intensive to draw to the active canvas. Whereas if you draw to a canvas that's only in memory, all you're doing is affecting memory space. You're not actually rendering anything. So you're not causing the browser to try and do a render.
Okay.
So the thought process is that by doing that and keeping the back buffer all in memory, we can shove the entire back buffer to the canvas all at once, and that theoretically would be a bit faster than rendering everything directly to the canvas.
That makes sense.
I don't know if it actually is, but that's the theory. That's my working theory anyway.
No, I think it's a good idea to have that explained out.
Does that sound good to chat? We good? I think we got freaking Ward snuck in, but he hadn't said hi yet.
Freaking Ward.
Freaking Ward.
Oh, my frame is off.
Oh, hey, clearing the back buffer. Sprite has been drawn. Okay, so then so it looks like the player is unable to draw for some reason. So we're getting here, right? That all seems to be working, but then when the player goes to draw, it's taking a poop. So,
as one player does.
Yeah. I mean, who would other than the player? So let's go and clear out the debug statements that exist. So this one here, we don't need. We know that is at least executing. I mean, it may not be doing what we're hoping that it does, but it's at least executing. So I am going to operate under the assumption that whichever one of these that player is calling is not functioning correctly. So let's go to player bar.
I was going to ask about your squiggles in that file, but it was JavaScript, and I know what they were.
Okay. So draw. This is going to call draw texture on the graphics device. Oh, come on now. Go to implementation. Replace with proper calls. I don't know if that's ever going to happen at this point. Draw texture. So if we go to close these, don't need them. We go to Blazor game and we go to draw texture. Presumably this is what's not working correctly now. So it's maybe this back buffer.draw image, if I had to guess. So console.log about to draw. I'll do that. And I'm expecting that it gets there, but that it doesn't get any further. See, in here I'm modifying the JavaScript practically every time I run it, and everything's working fine. Yeah, so it is failing on backbuffer.drawImage sprite XY. So what I need to do is, instead of doing that, I'll just console log backbuffer.
And when that poops.
Actually, can I do will debugger work? I don't know if it will or not. So the reason why we weren't seeing like a JavaScript error is because this code is running presumably asynchronously, and I don't even know what that means in the realm of Blazor, because JavaScript is a single process language. So data, height, width. So we don't have a draw image, it would seem.
It does. It would seem that.
I've made it poop.
But not a brick either, which would be fine.
No, this is a bar.
Because we do want the back buffer at some point to poop a brick.
Gone off the rails completely.
Okay.
That didn't take long at all.
So the back buffer, it's possible that the thing that we are initializing the back buffer as is the issue. Where am I creating the back buffer? Here it is. So clear back buffer equals new image data. That is obviously not the right thing. So let's pull up a page and let's say JavaScript canvas back buffer. Canvas 1, Canvas 2, Canvas API.
Camera 1, camera 2. No.
Does HTML5 support double buffering? Somebody say a thing? Or is that a follow?
Thank you for the follow, Ring Hammer.
The following helpful link in addition to showing some stuff. They just have 2 of them. So I think, and they're probably going to say that it's not really, it includes links to JS perf tests, which aggregate the test results across browsers in a browser scope data. This ensures that the browser, you can do it, internet.
We are watching Clayton live debug something he broke last week and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
For the Blazor game engine project, doing Breakout in Blazor game, a port of mono game to Blazor.
Okay, we're going to scrap the idea because we're using the wrong type of object, and well, either we're using the wrong type of object or we are using the object incorrectly. And I feel like the way to get the actual performance would be that we would have to blit to the data. And that would be...
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah,
that would be more complicated. Like directly write to the memory addresses contained within the data object of the image data class.
Yeah, that sounds complicated.
It's more complicated than what I was wanting to deal with. So we will possibly, although not guaranteed, possibly come back to that concept later. And for right now, we'll just deal with the limitation of being able to render as much stuff as we currently can. There's no harm in me leaving the sprite batch functions as tasks. They eventually probably will be tasks anyway, so just do that. Come on now. Isn't that special? Okay.
Just at some point you'll try to call it and then
kablooey.
Yep.
At some point I'll try to call it what?
Begin and end.
That
I'm calling
implemented exception.
I'm calling begin and end.
Yeah, but you'll try to call it, I don't know, for some other purpose.
There we go. So we got our ball bouncing off the paddle just fine. And it'll collide with the brick whenever that magically lines up. I need to go and remove those console logs because they're slowing everything down. Oh, I think we might. No, we're gonna miss it. It's just as easy to hit this this paddle as it is to land in the pool. Come on. We're gonna. Yes, we got it.
Yay.
Or well, so it didn't look like we hit it, but our box intersected with their box, so that's all it really takes. All right, so that part is working for now. All right, yeah, there's a lot of not implemented. That's on purpose.
How did you get a 99.22
What do you mean?
landing
Oh.
in the pool?
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention.
Just so easy.
It's because I made the comment about how difficult it was to land in the pool. Proven wrong. Just because. Okay. So we've got
Can I be
that. Now, I saw
Doesn't look like it.
somebody that actually, instead of populating this, they populated, or they passed in like the
Sorry, what was this?
the iPhysics 2D colliders. Instead of populating this on each class, what they did was the update method for those classes took in a list of other physics objects to interact with, basically. And so you just maintained the list at the highest order of the application,
Okay.
and then you can just pass the list down to the update method for all the things. Might do that. So if we said list of physics 2D colliders, and then I can get rid of this, which will intentionally break stuff like that. Physics 2D colliders, yeah, we just get rid of that.
Get rid of that. Although
we
it
need
really makes the
a-
name of your interface not so great.
What do you mean?
Right. If you remove,
It doesn't need to have colliders on it.
oh, it doesn't need to have colliders on it.
No, because it's going to have
Okay.
this. See? What's it saying? Did I spell it wrong? That's what it's saying. See, so it has
I don't
the
know
update
what it
method.
is.
So it's saying you have to have this update method, and then you're good. Which we do.
Okay.
And that means that we
Okay.
meet the interface. At least this class meets the interface. And then instead of well, this one isn't actually doing anything with the colliders when it hits them. Not yet. We might get to that point, but not yet. But I can go to the other classes, and they will have similar things that they need to do. So update list of iPhysics 2D colliders. Right, and then colliders where? Is this using? I can just delete that, and then we'll find out real quick what's broken. Okay, so we don't need this add collider anymore. Does that? No, that was something that we had on the ball. Okay, fantastic.
Totally robbed. It hit the wall and just sliding down the wall now.
Hey, you're just a sore loser. And then we have, where's brick? So brick didn't have that anyway, so, well, yeah, it does. Where's, there it is. Boy, stuff got all kinds of wacky up in brick. There we go. I think that will work out a lot nicer. And then in the breakout game, all I have to do, instead of doing this, is I would say private list of physics 2D phys objects phys objects, something like that. Oh, equals no new yeah. And then, so then instead of that, I would say phys objects dot add player bar ball and brick.
So what does Uncle Bob say about making names pronounceable?
I said it's a good idea. That's why I called it phys objects.
Clearly.
Physics objects. How's that?
Perfect.
I knew it when I did it. I just felt like continuing.
I know it.
But why not var? Whatever. Okay. So that hopefully should have had no effect on the broken.
Oh, I love it.
Well, I forgot this part.
Yep. Fair enough.
There. Now that should have had no effect on the actual gameplay. Everything should work as it did before. Should have just been
agreed.
a refactor.
Agreed.
Oh, good. It renders. Sort of. I mean,
Sort of.
The first frame. Oh, geez.
Uncaught existing.
I don't know.
It definitely didn't like something.
Yeah. It hated that.
It was like, please don't do that again.
There's no like obscene for loops or anything going on. I didn't really change much.
Yeah, you just changed where that list of...
Yeah, just where the list lived, really.
Now you did pass this. Were the lists different on each time? On each object? Because now you're passing the same list into every one. Is that possible?
So the lists were somewhat different. Okay, so the player, I don't think it matters because the player's not even using the list. The player isn't really using it. So the breaker ball,
was it calculating its collision with itself, though?
Yes. So where x not equal this and that. So that's that. And then probably the same thing or similar for the brick. So colliders.any x not equal this, and there we go. That should, yeah, we were getting into an infinite recursion.
You sure you weren't getting into an infinite recursion?
Yeah. It's
Could
probably
we,
an infinite recursion.
Google recursion, please, so we can have a definition of it, please?
Yeah. Can you open up Google?
There we go. Okay. So basically, I blew the stack. Is what happened.
You really enjoy Stack Overflow, so
Couldn't help myself. All right. The collisions. Oh,
Oh,
it even bounced it. Fixed it. Snailed it. Look at did a refactor and actually achieved behavior that I was going to work on next.
wait, that's not a refactor.
no. Can you
Positive-
Change the behavior.
Oh,
Can
you
you
see
all-
that? You see that?
Can you also Google refactor?
Positive unintended consequences.
Yeah, but
Except for now,
That's
so the brick isn't
not a refactor.
rendering, but it still is in that place. So the ball
Yeah,
is
so it's
actually
still
bouncing off the
colliding.
invisible. Yeah. So I need a way to remove an item from the from the list or from calculations at least.
I thought you once it collided. I thought you were throwing it off the screen.
but not the collision box though.
Yeah. So as it sits right now, the brick is saying if I'm alive and anything has collided with me, then handle the collision, which means to disappear and stuff, right? But there's nothing anywhere else that is checking if being active or alive is not part of the physics interface, and I think that I need to make it part of it. So we can say, I'll say is active. Yeah, I get that. Right? And then that will, of course, make me go and modificate things.
Don't forget to simplificate.
This is game programming. There is nothing to simplificate. It is all complified.
And chat, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to speak up, throw your hat in the ring. Some other metaphor.
All right. That is the player bar, which will just be alive the whole time. We have the ball, which is very similar. Now, the ball won't actually be alive all the time. If the ball collides with the edges of the screen, if it's the bottom edge, that could, in fact, cause the ball to die. But we'll get to that. Default to true.
Yeah, although that should also trigger something else in the game, right?
Yes, which is why
Otherwise, the ball will continue bouncing even though it's dead.
Right, and that's why it may not. Well, it won't continue bouncing if it's dead. If it's dead, it would just stick.
Would it though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I can.
You
All,
can
all, I have,
make it
all I have to
happen, I
say
guess.
is update
Yeah, fair enough.
if is active, then do updates. Like that, and then where are we? Collision screen detect or calculate screen collision. Come down here. So if we have hit the bottom, then we're actually not going to do this. Well, instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say is active equals false. Effectively, game over. Stupid.
Yeah.
And then that'll totally break everything if we hit the bottom of the screen. And then the last one is the brick. Yes. And so this instead of is alive, it would be is active. Probably should have just did a rename. There we go. And so now for these handle collisions
We got a party rating.
are here.
Thanks, J Blow, for the raid. Party of 255. Appreciate it.
It would be where it's not this, and x dot is active, and stuff. And we'll just go add that to all the things.
Do we want to do a quick recap of what we're doing?
Yeah, as soon as I figure out what that is. Is active, and
Yeah,
what's
it's
the
a
ball?
three person pair programming. We're try programming.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's mob programming.
mob programming.
Okay, so what we're doing is making a breakout game, the old classic breakout game. But we're doing that in a framework that I am building from the ground up, from scratch. And it emulates the mono game framework, the C# game, basically XNA mono game, and now making it for the web, calling it Blazor game. And I am trying my best to be faithful to the original API of mono game, but I am having to make changes because of that's the wrong side.
Oh, we picked the wrong one.
We picked the wrong one.
It worked.
It did stop moving. Breaker ball, screen collision. If y is less than... So our top and our bottom are backwards. That's whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Well, we should have known this because position, start position, right? Okay, so if I just do this, and then I can
Comment that out.
comment out these for the moment.
Yeah, so Ray March asking WASM.
Yes. Write my own OS. I mean, I have.
He does that kind of crazy stuff.
If you were interested in the operating system that I was writing, that's a different repository, but it is available on the GitHubs.
And what J Blow, what were you guys working on, or what were you playing or doing, or what you're streaming earlier? I hope it was a good stream. Let us know in chat.
So it bounced off of it, and then... No, and then. All right, I'm going to try to intersect where the brick was. That's where the brick was, and... Oh, bonk. So now the ball has just bedded itself at the bottom of the screen, and it's not bouncing, whereas it would bounce off the sides and the top and the yada yada yada. Now for important business. The nice thing about monogame was that it was a managed language, at least to me. The sign in. Oh, because I'm on the stuff and the things. GitHub /
J Blow was working on a compiler and a game using the language of that compiler. That's cool. Very nice.
Hey, that's me. Repositories. None of them are finished. None of them work. But down here way at the bottom somewhere. Here it is. So my name is Clayton. So Tonos, Tonos. I didn't come up with the name, but hey, I'll take it. Yeah, so here's my operating system that I was making. The bootloader, I believe, is in sysboot. So you have the stage 1 bootloader in assembly right here. I have it built up boot 1, boot 2, boot 3 because those are the stages of creating the bootloader. So boot 3 is actually a finished stage 1 bootloader in assembly. It reads from a floppy drive, so FAT12. And what it'll do is it will load the bytes at the magical address, which is... No, I don't have a start. org 0, but we have at the end, that AA55 is a magical address. And that's where the bootloader is, I believe, staged. And then, but it will go and render the screen and do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, it's good stuff to look at. It's based off of, what is the guy's? I think I've got it somewhere. I've made some changes, but it's largely based off of, brokenthorn.com. This guy named Neon, who was on the operating system programming forums, and he was really helpful for getting this put together. OS development series. And you could follow along with his stuff if you were interested in that kind of thing, and probably get further than I have at current. But there you go. So, yes, I've written an operating system. But right now,
chat. Here's the link to the Blazor game repo as well. I'll put the link to the Ton OS to Clayton's OS repo in chat as well.
Yeah. Lost train of thought. Okay, so this makes the game not as much fun at the moment, so I'm going to leave that out, but that is something that we'll add in later because we'll need to count lives and stuff. Yeah, see, I haven't messed with the with any of that yet. I'm the only thing that I have done is I have loaded an operating system from like a 3.5-inch floppy disk using FAT12 virtual floppy disk, and then I have also used the utilities to convert that floppy bootloading into like a CD format, and that's so you can have the larger file system to load from. But I haven't gotten to the point of actually installing the operating system on a hard drive and booting from that.
And you said Kubernetes was tough.
Needlessly.
Weren't we just talking about this? You have like a Windows Server 2000 machine for your OS.
Don't tell anyone, but I think the VHD for that Windows 2000 machine is in that repository. Okay, so now the game it's running. We've got a brick that is both providing deflection when the ball hits it, and then also disappearing from the game space effectively, because it's not rendering, and it's also not acting as a collision surface either. So the next thing would be to build up. We might actually get a lot further today than I thought we was gonna. It's all superficial and terrible code, but hey.
You might want to tear out your comments.
Oh yes, I need to get rid of those. Those are slowing it down by tremendous amounts. So is there any in here?
Or console logs is really what I should say.
Well, console logs, console write lines, both.
Yeah.
Make sure there's not any here. That is on purpose. Okay, looks like we're safe there. So then I'll just search the entire solution for console.write.
And what about you folks in chat? Any fun projects? Any fun game dev projects? OS projects? Programming projects? Personal or otherwise? Drop a link in chat. We've got that open, so don't abuse it. Don't rickroll us and dropping links in chat, but we'll take a look at stuff. We'll share stuff. It'll be great.
Okay, so let's manually create a level at first, and then we can extract some kind of file.
I think that makes
definition
sense.
of a level. So
more than just a one brick level.
Yeah. a one brick level that exists in the main game loop. Yeah, get rid of that. So let's add a new class. And we'll just call it level. Try to make it, well, we'll work from specific to generic.
Yeah.
But it will be the generic object when we're finished with it.
I mean, so the first thing we should do is probably just extract that one brick level into this level class, right?
Yes. So the question is, does the paddle or the player bar and the ball and all the bricks live on the level, or is it a subset of those?
So as far as like how long we've been making this breakout game, I think
a
it's
month,
been like
month and a half.
yeah, maybe like 2 sessions, I think. But we've been playing. We've been working on the mono game engine. We were working on a different game, and we were running into some complexities, and so we sort of rolled that back to go after this breakout game because it was a simpler one to tackle, so we didn't run into the same complexities.
Yeah, I think this is the third session for the breakout game, and we started it from scratch. Each session is only a couple hours long.
Yeah.
So not that long. We're making good progress. Part of the problem is that although I really want to make a game, and I really want to make a game engine to make that game, I don't know much about either one of those things. So I'm not only learning how to make the game engine, but I'm also learning how to make the game at the same time. And so there's some things that we are struggling to grasp, like the way that we should handle 2D physics in a monogame-based framework. Because monogame didn't really come with any physics. You have to invent the physics, for your game.
Do you want to share?
Or pull in a third-party library. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share how you have approached monogame from the clean room port?
Oh, geez.
Just high level, real quick.
Yeah. So basically, I started by finding a code or some code. So monogame tutorials, right? So in the monogame documentation, they have a tutorial, and the first tutorial is monogame 2D tutorials. We're not doing 3D yet. Not ready for that. And I think I went through these, right? At least some of these, not even all of them. And I was basically, not that. Okay, hey. At some point in here, they start having code. Oh, not R.B. Whitaker's code. These aren't even monogame tutorials. These are XNA tutorials from like 2004. I remember doing these when they came out. I mean, it says monogame, but he probably just updated the title. Anyway, I did some of these tutorials from the internet, and I just, as I ran across new code that the tutorial was using, I implemented whatever I had to in JavaScript to get that code to work. I was doing that for a little while, and then I got a little frustrated with the differences in the tutorials. Like, this tutorial would do something one way, and then another tutorial would do it completely differently. So instead, what I did is, you can go to the API for monogame, and I literally I did grab where they have a tutorial, or they don't have a tutorial, they have a sample.
I think I just...
Yeah, they have this platformer 2D sample.
There you go. You found it. Okay.
And I literally copy-pasted the code for this into this solution. And then I went and I implemented from their API every class that code sample uses. So, like, their API, if I was going to do this curve, then it implements iCurve evaluator. So I go look at iCurve Evaluator, and it has an evaluate single method on it. And then it has a single, so I, click on single, and I try to figure out what that is. And I implement that, and then, single. So, okay, well, that's a, Microsoft thing, so I just use it. Then,
so effectively, you took the public API for monogame and
copied it.
Or we're slowly implementing all of the interfaces.
Yeah, I copied it manually, so as not to copy the implementation. And then, so down here you got bounding frustrum, right? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that does. So I just implemented the interface, and for all the methods, they just return or throw a new not implemented exception. And that's what I did for every single class that was referenced by the platform game sample. So I don't have the entire monogame XNA framework API built in yet, but I have a pretty good portion of it. But none of it works. It's all throw no not implemented exception. So it's easiest to build this out if I have an example game to play with. So we're starting simple because we ran into problems with the platform game that was doing weird stuff. And I think that some of that weird stuff was due to the asynchronous issues with Blazor. Monogame being not asynchronous, and Blazor requiring asynchronous communication between JavaScript and C#. So I've had to modify some of the API to be asynchronous API as opposed to synchronous API. And it was difficult to find that because when you throw an exception in async in Blazor, nothing happens. It just doesn't work. Like there's no errors. Yes. The code doesn't do what you thought it was going to do.
Yeah. And so long Boolean says, I don't know a thing about monogame. I made breakout clone before, C++ and STL. Might do it again. Pretty fun.
There you go. Breakout was one of the first games I made in QBasic.
Yeah, Azure Magic. It is Blazor game engine port of monogame.
Yeah, so, this is the main game class, which is Blazor code, and it inherits from game. And the way that it is activated inside of the application is with this code here. So here's this commented out is the platform game that we were running. But so you basically initialize a graphics context component with a width and a height, and then you provide sprites and sounds. I've got sounds as well down here. And then you provide your game class, and then your game class will get access to the graphics context and will be able to load the sprites and sounds that you loaded inside this component.
Yeah, and Viridian, we're mainly line of business application developers, enterprise developers. Ash has been doing a lot of DevOps lately.
Yep.
Clayton had been doing a lot of Angular and is now doing mostly Blazor.
Screw Angular. Get rid of that.
I do mostly .NET Core, .NET 5, and React at times. So the Wednesday evenings we do live coding on Twitch, and it's mostly personal projects, fun projects. Clayton's monogame or a Blazor game engine or a Blazor CMS project is another one. Ash has a fitness and weightlifting
weightlifting tracker. Yep. React app.
Yep. And I've got a speaker meet application, which is for speakers, conferences, meetups, written in React and .NET 5 and hosted in Azure with all the Azure funness and cognitive search and all that fun stuff. So we also do the podcast. We do live streaming of our podcast on Monday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern. Usually have a interesting guest to join us and talk about clean code, career advancement, latest and greatest technologies, really kind of anything of interest. So if there's anything specific you'd like to hear in a podcast or see on a live stream, let us know. We'll see if we can't make that happen. If you've got any questions about the live coding or the personal projects we're working on, jump on in. Yep. Thanks for following Azure Magic.
Isn't this how you do it? It's been so long.
I thought we were just gonna do one.
Well,
I think he said go big or go home.
I'm just
That's
trying
fair.
to experiment with the layout of this class. So, if I have the bricks in a multi-dimensional array, right? Then the array could be something like 4 by 5, right? Or 6 or something, right? So we know that the that's how many bricks we have available to populate, and then we just populate the ones that we want to have with bricks.
Yeah, sounds like words of wisdom from experience.
For example, can get pretty interesting depending. We've actually got so far a decent, and that's mad at me, a decent physics deal going on. It might prove to be incorrect in the future, but at least for the moment.
I think you should rename player bar to paddle, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's probably accurate. We couldn't figure out what it was called at first. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with starting these live coding sessions at 8 p.m. at night after a long workday and kids and dogs and dinners. That brain doesn't think, brain doesn't work. But
There, it's paddle now.
and you say we've got it mostly working. There is a paddle, a ball, and a brick.
It totally works. I don't know what
Yeah,
you're why you got to be
brick,
so.
the brick
so
disappears,
mean.
but the physics space, the bounding box stays. So
No, it doesn't.
oh,
Not
you
anymore.
got rid of that?
It works now.
I mean, that
well.
happens.
No, none of it works.
It's because we just called it paddle. Nothing's broken. It's mad about that because it doesn't know what that is. Let me try that again. I think it was just a hiccup. Those happen, right?
It is Visual Studio. So.
Oh no, I know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't
Too
like
many
it
of
when
those.
you have that window open.
Yeah.
You got to close that window to run it again. Sometimes. I don't know. Oh, well, there's that. I got to go and change the name of the thing. Content. Sprites. Player bar. Should be paddle. Oh, not save. Enter. There we go. Now it'll work. Maybe. But I don't know what I'm doing.
It's definitely maybe it'll most certainly might work.
I'm still trying to figure out how the level's supposed to work.
Well, right now it's being defined in your index.razor. Right?
See, so it collides, it bounces off, and then the next time it goes through that
He's
space,
not
it will
watching.
not collide.
Thanks for the follow, Chill 0509. Appreciate it.
And then there, reset. That was a reset.
Oh, I thought we had turned that so that it stopped completely.
No, I turned it because it's less fun if it stops.
That's fair.
We'll get around to stopping. Honestly, we
realize
need
you
to
had
figure out
turned
how
that
many
off.
lives we have, and then
Yeah.
go from there. But
And each collision off of a known surface.
Yeah, there it went through the middle.
You've got a random speed increase or something as well.
yeah, whenever it collides, the edge that collides, the vector for that direction gets a new random speed. That'll change at some point. I just wanted to get that in there because I wanted to.
Then you do have a
Interesting.
few B unit tests in here, right?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Anything notable?
No, it was basically I've tested where. So I'm not testing the game because the game isn't technically the thing that I'm making. I'm making the framework and figuring out how to use the framework. So I have tests for the framework where, excuse me, where we needed them, where I was having trouble getting things to just work. So like all of this matrix math stuff has tests. But now the matrix math works. Not that we need it for this game, but you know. Okay, so the level the level is going to have
A max speed before it flies out of the screen.
what?
So-
Oh yeah, it has a max. The paddle has a max speed. Max speed X 512. Or sorry, move speed X, and then every random is a fraction of that 512.
Long Boolean, do you have your previous implementation of Breakout in C++? Is that out on GitHub by chance, or do you have an example out there?
That's the paddle. The ball is the thing that the ball has a max speed too, though, as a move speed of it, which is a vector, and a max speed vector. So current speed and maximum speed. Level. So. Okay, so the bricks here will be our play field. I don't know how to populate this, though. I guess I could just say 0, 5 equals a new brick, maybe? Let's see, C tour. So, bricks.
Man,
on
that
now.
is some
Jeez.
indentation.
I don't know what happened there. 0, comma, 0 equals new brick. Now what's it complaining about? Wrong number of indices inside. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, there we go. So now it's going to say at 0, 0, we start making a brick. We need to have... We're going to draw the level, so the level would be in charge of drawing the paddle and the ball and the bricks, I would assume. So then the level is the thing that needs the colliders now, not... Or the physics objects, not the game. So then...
Rewrote the game 3 times. I asked if the C++ example was out, maybe on GitHub or anything, for long booleans prior attempts, or I would assume successful attempts. Sounds like.
I mean, I've got stuff that I've tried to do. I've never succeeded very far. I always get part of the way.
So you're moving the list management of those to that level?
Yeah.
To the level class.
I'm gonna have the paddle and the ball be part of the game world.
Okay.
Because you might change the ball that you want to use, or you might change, or you might have some effect on your paddle, and that effect and that ball decision shouldn't change when you change levels.
Sure.
So those are going to be part of the world. The bricks are all going to be part of the level. And so instead of creating a new brick here, I would say level equals new level, and we're going to pass in
The list.
the paddle and
Oh.
the ball. And then
As opposed to passing in the list, where you just add to it.
the list is now here. So here we would say that we have a paddle, and breaker ball, right? And then here we would say pad equals padding. Paddle equals paddle, and okay, yeah, ball equals ball. Okay, and then yeah, so then we can say physics objects dot add paddle. Oh, yeah. And
it still needs to be created.
physics objects add ball.
First attempt was from a tutorial found on YouTube 10 years ago now. My first game was, there was a coding magazine that someone gave my mother that she gave to my mother for me, that had a printed out version of tic-tac-toe in BASIC, where you had to effectively copy it character by character, line by line.
Nice.
And then figure out what character you mistyped or what line you missed and why it didn't work.
My first game stuff was in C++ was
Go to image search. I had one of those bundles, like the
it came with Visual Studio C++, and then it had
a book and a CD inside a box.
Yeah.
And the book was like massive.
That ship looked funny. But it was like a old, like, here it is. No, that's no. I had an older version of that one that came with it. It had like 4 books. And my parents got it from me from, like, literally from the bookstore. But it's so old, I'm not going to find it. I've still got it somewhere. It's on a shelf.
All right, back to it.
Yeah, so I never actually got into programming games.
It wasn't programming in C++. It was programming with no. It was C++ because it didn't have it came with a different one that was DirectX programming, but it started with just straight up raw against the video card programming. Nice. C++. Anyway,
Ash, you were saying you never.
Yeah, so I never did a lot of game programming or programming games. The closest I came to is I wrote on an airplane flight with my father. We wrote pseudocode to play tic-tac-toe, and then we used it, and we were only allowed to use our pseudocode. So then we would make revisions of playing tic-tac-toe on how to kind of create the AI for playing the game. And And then I made in my aerospace engineering, we had to take MATLAB, and to get out of the final exam, I wrote a battleship over the network with one of the other students, where we played Battleship in MATLAB over the network. So that was pretty fun. But that was really the first time I'd done, and that was hardly a video, hardly much of a game. It was text based and everything else. So
Okay, so this will go. So
probably
we need
not secure either.
We need a load content, maybe
Sure, it's fine.
level.
But we didn't have to take the exam, and we took the professor up on the offer. So
Some Casio graphing calculators still can run basic, crack out those old skills. I remember like the TI-81s, and you could program on those things.
Yeah. Looks like we're gonna need graphics device to be passed in. Level, load content. Okay, and yeah, we definitely need graphics. And then we need content, so content and graphics. Content is a content manager and graphics is a graphics device manager. Okay, so then when it's referencing graphics device there, game.graphics device, which is graphics device. Can we get the graphics device off the graphics device manager, or do I actually need? Haha. We don't need no stinking graphics device. Okay, there we go. I kind of want
That's a lot of dots.
I don't know what you're talking about. Var tile safe area. This is unfortunately, and I do think it's unfortunate. Game programming does not even close to adhere to the same standards that the programming that I normally like to do does or can. Everything about game programming seems to want you to break what would normally be called good game or good programming practices. I wish it didn't, but it does.
load content's not happy.
What?
Load content is not happy.
I don't know what you're
why.
talking about.
So it sounds like we've got Clayton wanting to start a flame war with those that came from a game dev channel.
What?
Oh, nothing.
No, they have their own practices. It's not the kind of
what you're used to.
stuff that I normally strive for. I can't do the things that I would normally want to do. Like the whole it's been so long since I've talked with anybody about the dots thing. I can't even remember the name of it. But not having a dot train is almost not possible in game frameworks because of the way they've been put together. Could you build a clean code game framework? Probably. Has anybody done it? Not that I know of.
Yeah, I wonder if would it be performant? Are there different constraints that just wouldn't allow you to do so? Like, would you have to new up so many objects in order to do the things that we would normally do? that it just would fall over under the weight of its own architecture.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
What?
Good.
It's not that I'm not. It's not that I'm not trying to listen. I'm having trouble.
So I don't think so. So I think it would. I mean, having all of the classes and whatnot, I feel like there's extra overhead and whatnot in that. So I feel like if you were trying to make it more efficient, but at the same time, I'm not.
Yeah,
not really the expert there.
I've got Bob Nystrom's book on game programming patterns, and I mean they look like our normal business application development patterns. So I don't see why we couldn't just use our same day-to-day patterns, things like that.
Yeah, I would think that seems reasonable.
It's possible. It's just not possible in many of the frameworks that I have worked in. Is the problem.
And you are mostly constrained by what was done in monogame, porting it over. So you're utilizing
unless I want to invent my own platform. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we had their public API, and no telling if you're using it the way it was intended to be used at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what I'm doing. If we had like a mono game expert, I would totally take advice from them on how to put all this stuff together.
Yeah, Long Boolean says frameworks tend to force you down a certain road. Tell me about it. Having spent time with Knockout, Angular, and React in their JavaScript framework library patterns and practices, very much so.
Okay, so we don't need this line anymore.
And Long Boolean, your Uno game sounds pretty cool. That reminded me, I did write one other game, and that was Blackjack in Java at one point. So
mainly, you were just using that to learn how to count cards, though, right?
I wish. I think it was, again, some school project or something.
My 8-year-old son has really gotten into playing Uno with us, so he would enjoy that.
I don't know that position should be in the initialize. I don't know, though. Okay.
Yeah, we play a good amount of Uno and Skippo and Monopoly Deal.
And not familiar with Skippo.
It's, I don't know, it's kind of like a mixture of Rummy and like some other War, or I don't know. Well, maybe not War, but like Rummy and something else.
So we do that. Create a method. Yeah.
So this is all part of pulling out the code into a level class right now.
Yeah.
In order to. So then we can define levels differently, and
yeah, then we can have a class to do it, and then we can work on a methodology.
Right. Are these void? Okay, so it doesn't need to be. It's not yet. No reason for it to be. Not async. Okay.
You got one more.
Yeah. I was just.
Okay. Just working down. Okay.
We gotta draw. Okay, so level. I really shouldn't have. Sprite batch. It's the only thing passed in. Okay. Oh, come on now.
So version 1 of Long Boolean's breakout clone was very C-like.
Like it had
So Clayton,
pirates?
okay. So it seems like you're so in creating this level, a lot of the actions and things that we were doing in the main game, you're pulling those into
Into the
the
level.
draw to
Yeah.
handle.
Because technically, the level is the thing being drawn.
Uh-huh. Whereas we just didn't have a concept for that before because we were keeping it super simple at the beginning.
Right. This way, we can have like a start screen that doesn't have the ball and the paddle and everything on it because it's not being drawn by the main game object. It's being drawn by the level or by the scene or whatever you want to call it. Okay.
V2 was OOP. So V3, you need to go functional.
Structured. Write it all in Lisp.
That's what I started with, a Turbo Pascal. So, yeah.
Okay, so now we've got all those things moved into level. And I think that we have eliminated all the errors.
See, I think we started with Borland Turbo C++.
In my high school, that was the second half of the year, but I had actually gotten Turbo Pascal 5.0 or 5.5 from my father, and it came with like 3 stacks of manuals. And then when I went and did it in high school, it was 7.0 that we did it for the Borland 7.0, and then we used Borland C++ in the second half.
Okay,
That was much more enjoyable.
Index was outside the bounds of the array. I can only assume that that is talking about this.
Yeah, that.
So I need to look up initializing multidimensional arrays in C#.
To the bingle. Clayton uses Bing. I don't know why.
I use the first thing that pops up. And that's why.
I
they're
use
doing
it as
well,
well.
what the heck syntax do I got going on?
Until it doesn't search right, and then I search for Google.
So new. Let's see if we did like 4 tall and 6 across maybe. And this would be new brick. 4, 6. Just do that? No, it's mad at me. Why is it mad at me? Did I still do it wrong? New int. Oh, there's none of this. That's a thing. Oh, okay. Like, why is it different than every other new syntax? Seriously. Whatever.
Because it's an array. And
Okay, anyway, so we got 4, 6, and this would be comma 0. Yeah. That makes me curious what I made before. Like, what is this? Is it an array of arrays, I guess?
yeah, a 0 length array of 0 of another 0 length array. Although I thought that's what a array comma array is.
Well, so in C or C++, I think you do the 2 square brace
Yep, I
syntax.
believe so.
But in C# they did the comma. I never work with arrays though, so did not know. All right, so anyway, so now we've got a 4x6 array. We should not run into an index issue. I'll need to manually close this so it doesn't get mad at me. Hey, we got that. That's working. If we miss, it resets the position. Okay. And if it hits, the world may never know.
Stay tuned, chat. We'll see if he can hit it.
Oh. Boom. Oh, straight across.
That's going to be a minute.
Worst case scenario. But okay, anyway, but it did what, it did what it was told to do. That's terrible. Okay. So that is working. So now, if I say, well, so when we do this, I only want to load this one time, so I'm going to call this brick texture.
Control RV.
Brick.
Oh, you uninstalled ReSharper, didn't you?
Brick. No. 10 texture equals. I just haven't used it in so long that I brick. Oh, no.
V3 going back to procedural.
10 texture. There. Okay, good. So now if we say for var I x equals 0, x less than bricks dot, oh geez, gets the total number of elements in all the dimensions of the array, gets rank, gets the ranked number of dimensions of the array. For example, a one-dimensional array returns 1, a two-dimensional array returns 2. No, dang it. Get length. The number of elements in the specified dimension of the array. So, get lower bound. Gets the index of the first element of the no.
What is it you're trying to do?
I'm trying to get a representation of the count of the first dimension of the array. So I want to get 4. But it looked like length is going to give me 4 times 6 minus 1. Or no, 4 times 6, and then I'd have to go from there. But I don't. I mean, I can just say 4. I just don't like that. X plus plus. All right, and then 4 var y equals 0. Y less than 6. Y plus plus. I mean, a simple solution that would make me generally happy is if I had variables for these dimensions instead of hard coding the dimensions, and then I could reference the variables.
Little magical string.
But I would rather read it from the array if possible. Okay, so for each, this will get me an item in the array. We're going to create a position and then initialize it. So we're going to do these things. Okay, and then, so then, brick position is going to equal, okay, so here I'm centering it, and that's not really what I want to do. I want to do tile safe area X, that gets me the center, minus, oh wait, oh, this is going to get ugly. minus, if there are 4 bricks, then what I want to do is I want to get the total width of the bricks, and I want to subtract that from the total width, and then I want to divide that by, no. How does it work? Like, old school text centering is basically what I want to do. I have 4 characters. Each character is 8 pixels wide. I want to center that on a screen that is 240 characters wide. So the center of the screen is 240 divided by 2. The center of the text is 8 times 4 divided by 2. And then I would take the screen half, subtract the letter half, and that would give me my starting position. Right? Okay, so this var x center is that. Okay, and then var y center is the other side. Okay, and those can be calculated before we enter the loop. There's no reason to do those every time. Okay.
Need a semicolon.
And then, so then we have the equivalent of brick center. So var brick center would equal, in this case, 4, or no, 6. Brick y center would be 4.
But by the way, I think I found how you can get that off your array.
Brick 10 texture dot height. No, wait. 4 times the height divided by 2. That'll give us our... what's up?
I believe I think I can that 4. We can pull that off the array. I think there's a method called get length, which takes a parameter, and
right,
the parameter is a 0 or a 1. I may be mistaken, but
okay, we can try it here in a second.
Yep.
Okay, that's brick y center, so var, not bar, var brick x center equals 6 times brick texture width divided by 2.0. Okay, and then if we subtract
Long Boolean technically killed V3 before it finished it, and writing all the Pong entities to use vector math logic for physics.
screen X center, screen Y center.
Sounds interesting.
so we want this one at the center, or what? What are we?
X start is going to be it's going to be screen X center minus brick.
He's putting the grouping of
center.
bricks in the middle of the screen, right?
Yeah, I want the group of bricks to be centered
Gotcha.
vertically
Okay.
and horizontally. And I think that if you take the center of the screen and you subtract the center of the bricks, that you will end up with the far left bounds of the bricks. same thing vertically, I think.
Okay.
So var y start equals screen y center minus come on minus, you can do it, brick y center. So that gives me the x start and the y start. Then
Okay.
for every position,
We increment the same amount. That's right.
right, for every position I can say if bricks x comma y, no, y comma x, the way that I've got it mentally built up,
Yep.
y comma x not equal null, then we're going to do this stuff. Right? And so the x position is going to be a float of the x start plus brick texture
Width,
width
right? Times X.
times x. Yeah, and then same thing the other way around. Is it xy for this, for vector? I think it is.
I think it is
Y
XY. Yeah.
start plus brick texture dot height times y. And we want to do order of operations that should happen this way anyway, but I want to make sure that it happens this way because paranoia. Okay, and then we basically at y x we initialize this brick with that position.
Yep.
All right, and then everything builds. So we've only added one brick at 0, 0, so it should be, you know, off center to the top
I
and,
gotcha.
and left.
Yeah. Very nice.
And then no matter how many bricks we specify, it will attempt to center itself. Should.
I like it.
Or it'll blow up. I mean, there's a few options. Haha.
Ladder.
Index was outside the bounds of the array. I did a less than. So this should only go to from 0 to. Oh,
3?
well, maybe.
Although
Oh. Yeah. This should be y.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next one needs to be X.
Yeah.
That is going a little bit against mathematical convention, but
What you talking about, Willis?
usually you list XY, but
This is technically less iterations. It's faster. Deal with it. Hey. It's not in the center. And it disappeared. And it really disappeared.
yeah.
Sweet. So let's add another brick in some random location and see if that as well shows up. So we did 0, 0. Let's do, what, 3, 5?
So we don't
Just
have
add
our
one at the
math
other end?
completely correct, right? Because we were expecting that one to be dead center of the.
No. We're expecting for the mass of bricks to be dead center.
Right. Okay, my bad. Yeah.
So I'm going to throw it. So 0, 0 is
So that
top
should have been
left.
the one edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top left. I'm going to throw in 3, 5, which should be bottom right.
Yep. Okay.
And we
Yeah,
should
on track.
see, the bounds of our square. So we add there. Is that all I have to do?
Yeah, I think
Oh
so.
no, I need to do this.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
There. I wonder if I could do like add brick 0, 0 equals new brick. Anyway. Mess with weird optimizations later. John's getting excited. I can feel it.
things are going to change. I can feel it.
I see one.
I do see one as well. So the question becomes, so we added it here. We added it here. Clearly this is not center. It is above center and it is to the left of center.
Yeah.
So
But
why
it should
did
be
the new one not show up?
It should be far on the right side, right? Though.
Is there?
Because it should be almost.
Oh, no. I know what's going on. I know what the deal is. Look at that. So we're not updating.
0,
we're
0.
not drawing.
Uh-huh.
So we need to say for.
Oh, I see. We need to go
for
through all the
each
bricks.
Of our brick in bricks, and here's where we don't care. So we can just do this. Brick update. Same thing here. They thought they almost had me for a second, but they didn't. Oh my.
Wait, do we not need to call brick update?
I thought we did. I cut it instead of copy paste, didn't I?
Yeah.
Biscuits. Okay. That's an easy fix. Is that it?
Yep. That'll work. You just need to update from draw to brick. Or
You'd like that,
brick.
wouldn't you?
Something like that.
Update, and then it's going to take game, time, and key state. I don't know why we're passing...
The physics objects into the bricks.
No. Key state. What is it? Who is that? Pennsylvania? No. Who is the key state? Anyway.
Is that Arkansas? No.
Does it need to await? No, it doesn't await. What's it mad about? Okay. Oh, why is there... Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we might have it. Did we get raided, or did this many cool people just show up?
Yeah, we got raided by, was it J-Blow? About an hour ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, that's Pennsylvania. That's called the Keystone State.
Keystone. Oh, well, I was close. Oh, come on now.
But we appreciate all the raiders continuing to hang out with us.
Oh, yeah. Feel
If
free
you
to
got
mock,
questions,
point, and laugh.
questions, comments.
Okay, so now we're updating. Now we're drawing. Should be anyway. I mean, we're not, but
We only saw the one, right?
we only saw the one. So this should be different for both of those.
Are you drawing them all independently?
Yes.
Okay.
Right here, for every brick in bricks, we're gonna draw them. Now I can put a breakpoint here.
Long Boolean said, I still don't know if vector math is the right approach. I did it partly for the reason that we saw earlier in stream. You get lots of little fiddly bugs with the ball hitting things and not going to action and collision. So far, it seems okay. It could allow for non-aligned collision boxes.
Oh, it's blowing up. It's blowing up. That's why it's not working.
Yeah, I'd really, really like to see Clay mess around this, but he's not going to.
What?
Said I'd really like to see you write some unit tests around this.
The level we might be able to. The game object itself, the Blazor game, that would be difficult.
Yeah, it was specifically around the block, the bricks in level, at least.
Yeah, we might be able to do that. If was that a request from someone, or is that just you?
That was me. I mean, that was in response to Long Boolean's comment about vector math and such.
Oh, that's because we're using an array of bricks here, and so most of them are null. Is that correct?
Oh, this vector here, is that what?
The reason why we need to do this null check, but like on a normal for each, you're gonna for each over a list, which only has non-null objects in it.
Yeah, but the array is special.
But the array is special, and that's why we need to have this sort of defensive program. Hey, yeah.
Bonk.
And that worked.
Come on. It's not the
Zoom
fastest game
sharing
to play.
is so stuttery.
Yeah, that's why I'm watching it on
just,
Twitch.
Just watch it on Twitch.
I know it. I have it over here on Twitch, and it's actually much smoother.
It's just so far behind.
Yeah, that's true. It's pretty smooth on my end. Like super smooth and slow.
Yeah, I mean it's super smooth on Twitch, but on the screen share through Zoom, it's not, which doesn't make any sense to me.
It's also oddly stuttery too. Like it's not like consistently dropping frames. It's like occasionally it drops a lot, and
yeah, Zoom is not the best platform for shared mob game programming. I don't think that's what they advertise though. Oh, boom.
oh, there we go.
Nailed it. Okay. So that is working. So let's see if we can get a neighbor brick. And what I'm expecting is for them to butt up right against each other but not overlap. But I'm not expecting any space between them either. I'm expecting like exactly perfect match. So let's see if that works.
Problems, will they collide
With each other?
Yeah.
They shouldn't, because they shouldn't touch. If they did,
we are trying to calculate the collision between each other.
Yes, they are colliders, so it is possible that they could hit each other if they touch. They shouldn't touch though. So let's do 0, 1. And this one would touch the other one if anything's gonna touch.
Yep. Also, John, is it clipping? Is my mic clipping at all in my voice sometime?
I haven't heard it. It is awfully strong.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if it's not bad right now, I'll try to not worry about it. But it sounds like in my internal monitor, it sounds like it's clipping a little bit. So I'll probably turn it down after the stream.
All right. Hey, so they're butted right up against each other, but they're not causing each other to fade out. They're not colliding. At least, oh no. Oh good, saved it. Well, you got to click on that screen or else chaos. Sweet. All right. So next time that we work on this, I'm happy. I'm gonna call that that's a bit weird.
That was totally weird.
So there might be something to work on there, but it's hard to set up that condition though, because it was hitting the bottom corner. So technically it did collide with the bottom, and since it collided with the bottom, it reversed its direction from whatever direction it was going, because that's the way the code is working.
Yep.
Bonk. Okay, so next time we work on this, which may or may not be next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday we have a guest coming in to talk to us about canines.
So it will not be next Wednesday that we work on this.
Yeah. Next Wednesday, we're going to work on Speaker Meet, the website for speakers, conferences, user groups.
But the next time we work on this, we can look into getting this stuff into a file loader, similar to what the platform game is doing. The platformer has a level, and in their level, where is it? Loading tiles. So they load tiles and that creates a stream reader to go and get the file name or file stream, and then it reads each one, and it basically, builds up the level by adding the lines. File stream when you create the level. So we'll probably end up having something very similar to that.
Before we sign off, can we try to do the get length?
Oh, yeah, we can try. Level. Okay, so down here. So you're saying instead of Y to get the 4,
Yeah.
which is the first element of the multidimensional array.
I believe there's a get length.
So it'd be
bricks
get length.
And then you pass in so the first one will be 0, or if you want the second one, you get 1.
Okay, so then this would be 1 then.
And you may want to do that in more than one location, because like you're using that up on 50 or 42, looks like.
Here.
And 43.
So this would be
Second, or so 1. Get length 1.
Which this would be important for when we're loading levels, because the level may be
Correct.
designed to be a particular size.
Yep.
0. And then after that, assuming we get it to where we can load this from a file, and then we can create a, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever, then the next thing would be showing score and lives left and stuff like that, which I've been kind of putting off because I didn't want to deal with writing text to the canvas based on a request from the game engine. And we'll have to figure out, what the appropriate way to do that in Blazor or Monogame is anyway. But I'm really happy with the progress that we made today, because I didn't think we were going to get anywhere near that far.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So with that, chat, thanks for hanging out. Here is a link to the repository where the code of this resides. Are you pushing now?
As soon as I verify that this works.
Verifying that works.
Yeah. Which I apparently didn't do very well last time. All right, we're not getting any index errors, and it rendered, and the game seems to be playing, so that appears to work. Sweet.
Cool.
So, wait, where did it get? Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna push this up. We're on the platform gamer branch. I'm gonna push it up to that, and then I'm gonna merge into master, because I don't know why it's not in master anyway.
Okay.
So
with that, we say thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll rate our friend Chad over at Taylor and Code in just a second. We will be back on Monday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, for the live stream of the podcast, and then next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be working on Speaker Meet, another personal project, open source application, .NET Core, .NET 5, and React, Azure Cognitive Search, all the fun stuff. We're going to have special guest Joe Zach from Coding Blocks. He's going to come on and help us get K9 set up, and maybe some Grafana and Prometheus and some fun stuffs, so we can look at that. So be sure to hang out and chat with us from time to time. Click like, subscribe, follow, do all of the Twitch things. With that, we will raid our friend over at Taylor and Code and say goodnight, everybody.
good night.
Good night.